Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Karam, board certified facial plastic surgeon, founder of Karam MD Skin. I specialize in facial rejuvenation, which basically means I help people look as young as they feel. And on today's episode of Skin School, I'm going to talk to you about the things you may be doing that could be failing you in your quest to get great skin. The skincare routine faux pas that could truly be causing you to not only miss the mark in terms of your skin's potential, but actually be hurting you in the long run. So let's break it down and start to look at these things one by one. So first, it starts with a clear understanding of how skin ages. And just to give you a brief summary, we have other videos that break this down into very granular detail, which I do believe is super important to understand, and we'll get to there a little bit later. But for now, just let's understand it in a big picture, bird's eye view. So skin, slowly but surely, is constantly aging. And it's aging in a multifaceted way. But the primary underlying mechanism for skin aging starts with collagen loss. There is cells in your skin in the middle of your dermis called fibroblasts. What fibroblasts do is they produce collagen. Collagen is what's responsible for building the structure of your skin. That, in combination with another molecule called elastin, which gives the skin the ability to stretch and bounce back, the two of them gives the skin that quality of thickness and suppleness that we see in youth. This is very, very important to understand that with aging and with time, the changes in the production of collagen diminish, and as a result, your skin begins to thin, it begins to break down, so you see more lines and wrinkles, it becomes less elastic, so it becomes more crepey. And as a result of those changes, you start to see changes in the size and dilation of the pores, you start to see changes in the overall laxity of the skin. There's all these kind of ripple effects that are born from the principal changes that are happening to the structure, and the structure being a result of collagen and elastin production. So when does this start to happen? Pretty much by the time we're in our 20s and 30s, we're at the peak of the body's production of these things, and from then on it's just a slow and steady, and then by the time you get into your perimenopausal or postmenopausal years, where estrogen and some of the other important hormones begin to change, you see an accelerated loss of the fibroblast production and therefore the collagen. So there, at that point, for a lot of women especially, you start to see a very expected but unwanted series of changes in the skin. Good news is all of that can be simply avoided by the things I'm about to mention. Second major sort of change that happens with skin as a result of aging is the uncontrolled release of melanin into the skin. So all the sun that we accumulate as youngsters, they begin to build up into the melanocytes and then release in the form of melanin and form clusters, and therefore you get patches of hyperpigmentation, brown spots, basically. So this is what it comes down to. We know those things are happening at the cellular or genetic level. We know that your desire is to have that youthful, supple, clear, luminous skin that you had when you were younger. But how do you manage these changes effectively and efficiently, so not only if you're watching this when you're younger, you can prevent the aging of the skin from ever happening, but also reverse it when you get a little bit older and then you're hearing this type of information for the first time. And my goal with this video is to give you clarity and very clear understanding of the path to great skin and try to make it super simple. Okay, so this is what it comes down to. We know the greatest, most important accelerator in skin aging is sun. So before we get started doing anything to our skin, you have to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to take sun protection very seriously. And what does that mean? Essentially, that means using a broad spectrum sunscreen that's typically mineral based like zinc or titanium oxide. You're gonna wear hats. You're gonna do the things that you can do to potentially walk earlier in the day or exercise earlier in the day, later at the night. Avoid those peak hours where the sun is the most intense. But you're gonna do what you need to do to minimize the amount of sun exposure, especially on your face if that's gonna be the principal area that you're concerned with. That is contributing to about 70 to 80% of skin aging. So that's a foundational statement right there. Then you need to remember that you gotta be on a proper cleanser. And we'll talk more about what makes a proper cleanser in future videos, but suffice it to say, it needs to be a cleanser that is not gonna dry your skin, not gonna irritate the skin, not gonna be abrasive, and it's gonna thoroughly and properly clean and decrease the inflammation of the surface of the skin so that the active ingredients and products that you're gonna use will actually be able to penetrate the dermis and get where they need to get. So once you got that part under control, then the next most important thing is getting on a combination of active skincare ingredients that are going to reverse or slow down the changes that I just mentioned. So basically what we're talking about is things that are gonna stimulate collagen at the cellular level, as well as things that are gonna decrease pigment, and ideally things that are also gonna exfoliate the skin to get rid of that kind of dead, dull layer that creates a rough texture as well as diminishes the reflection of light off the skin so the skin doesn't appear vibrant and luminous. So there's three sort of major targets that we need to address. But in order to do that, you need to be on a composition of the right ingredients of actives. So what are those basic things that every single person absolutely needs to be on if you're even gonna start stepping in this direction? Number one is you gotta be on a retinol. You gotta be on a vitamin C. Ideally a growth factor. These are three things that are gonna stimulate collagen over time. Remember, we're working at the cellular level, so it's like we're giving the fibroblasts juice to start building more collagen, even though the body, generally speaking, wants to stop building collagen, right? So we're gonna hack the system and get what we want. So those are the three kind of general categories. There's also certain peptides that can do this. There's also non-surgical treatments like microneedling and chemical peels and things like that that can also do this, but we're gonna hold that off for the moment. But in terms of active ingredients, you need to be on a complex of collagen stimulating type ingredients. Cleansing is a key part of a good skincare routine. Active ingredients are another part. Now here's where people start to break down. Number one, most of you are hearing this perhaps for the first time. Maybe you've heard it here and there, that retinol is good, but then you had a reaction to it. Maybe you heard vitamin C is good, but you don't really know why. But you heard from a friend that there's a brand at Sephora or Nordstrom's or whatever, or online product that you really should be trying. Maybe you hear a celebrity talk about it, maybe you hear an influencer talk about it, so you give it a try. You use it, faithfully use it, a few weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you see nothing's changing in your skin. You start to question whether it's working. So what do? You start opening yourself up for the next product. Next friend tells you about the next best thing. Next thing you know, you've got literally a drawer full of tried but not effective products, and you're just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing from treatment to treatment, from regimen and routine to routine. And part of the reason why that happens is because it's difficult to get on an effective and proper routine without the knowledge that I'm sharing in this video to make it simple to do that for yourself. Because half the time, if you ask the same quote-unquote specialist to give you the proper routine, if you go to one, they're gonna give you a different routine. You go to another, they're gonna give you a different routine. And many times you're gonna be missing components that we just talked about. So this is what it comes down to. Make sure you're on a retinol, make sure you're on a vitamin C. Ideally, you wanna be on a niacinamide. You ideally wanna be on a growth factor. That covers your collagen synthesis components of it. Then you wanna make sure that your skin is getting the proper hydration, because another thing that happens with age is that skin becomes more dehydrated, and as a result, sometimes it picks up the amount of oil production it does, so your skin gets oily, and vice versa. Sometimes the skin becomes too oily, and as a result, the pores get clogged, etc. So there's a number of sort of changes. So you wanna get control over hydration and oil production. Then you also want to decrease the pigment production, but you can't be on hydroquinone, which is a prescription level pigment blocker. So then you end up either doing nothing, but there are a number of non-hydroquinone lighteners that are available that can suppress the production of melanocytes, and as a result, decrease the amount of melanin production, and as a result, decrease the amount of brown spots on your skin, which is huge. So you've got control of collagen, you've got control of pigmentation, and oil production. The last thing you want to get, exfoliation. Exfoliation can happen through a number of different ways. You can use microdermabrasion in an office setting. You can use light chemical peels in an office setting. Karam happens to make a enzymatic exfoliator called Polish that we use that in conjunction with our trifecta that can be used at home very safely to exfoliate the skin. So therefore, you've got sun protection, cleansing, active ingredients, and exfoliation. That becomes a very thorough package of things that you need to do. Now, the problem is, and you all probably know this fact as well, that in order to get on all these things, right then, just for what I just mentioned, that's at least 6 products. And as a result of that, it becomes very difficult sometimes for people to afford 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 different products to cover all these bases. And we haven't even mentioned a lot of the other, fun ingredients that can do a lot of great things for the skin. But just this foundational stuff can end up being like 6 different components. And as a result of that, many people find it difficult to manage. So they stop using certain things. They don't get a retinol, they don't get a lightener, they don't get a proper cleanser or a moisturizer, hydrator like hyaluronic acid, etc. So then what happens is you have an incomplete treatment. The skin is aging, multifaceted. You don't have a multifaceted approach to basically fight those changes, and as a result, certain things like pigmentation continue to happen, or collagen synthesis it doesn't occur, and as a result, the skin continues to get thinner. You don't exfoliate properly, so your skin doesn't get that brightness and luminosity. So you start to get discouraged. Then you stop using certain products, you stop refilling certain products. There goes a cycle towards nowhere. This is extremely important to understand how this part is very, very understandable, but also critical to your skin getting the results that it needs. So you need to address those changes that we just mentioned. Then the final component is, once you have the right combination of pieces in place, remember your skin is aging in a continuous basis. It starts and it never stops. The best you can do is ward those changes and start to change the tides and go the other direction by the things that I just mentioned here. However, in order to do that, you need to stay on these regimens continuously over the long run. And when I say long run, I'm not talking about a few months. I'm not talking about a year. There is no cure to skin aging, right? I mean, this is from now until the end of life. This is a continuous progression. However, if you do these things on a regular basis, what you're gonna see is that year after year after year after year, you're not gonna be going in a negative direction, but you're actually gonna go in a positive direction. Your skin's gonna get better and better and better. This is so well understood and so clearly defined in terms of what we see. People who have great skin in their 60s and 70s, and you ask them the question, hey, and I do this all the time because I see people in my office at different ages all the time, and people who have that gorgeous, beautiful skin that I just mentioned, supple, clear of pigment, no wrinkles, lines, etc. All those people have the exact same things in common. Sun protection. For some reason, they've managed to understand the importance of sun, whether it was something that their family told them or whether it's something they read, or maybe just the geographic region of the world that they live in. But all of them have been on a retinol or a retin A, vitamin C, these active ingredients, etc. And they've been on it forever. We're talking like 30, 40 plus years of continued use. So that's where Karam MD, as sort of our motto is the 3 C's, which is, consistency is an incredibly important part of it. Continuity is a very important part of it forever. And so is commitment, your commitment to your skin, right? And commitment to the long run. And if you do these things, stop bouncing around from product to product, stop trying something and then getting off of it, trying something else, again getting off of it, filling your drawers full of stuff. Make sure you identify very clearly what those things are. And like I said, I mean, this whole entire channel and Skin School is all about that. So make sure you follow along for subsequent episodes and you'll learn a lot through them. But make sure you engineer and create that right regimen for yourself and stick with it forever. That is the biggest secret I could share with you guys, and I hope you will share that with many friends and friends and family, etc. And let's get the word out and help people stop making these basic mistakes. Now, for all of you who know, I developed the trifecta, which is my skincare product that basically is a 3-step that includes a cleanser with ideal properties, a vitamin C, and this all-in-one product called Illuminate that has all of the active ingredients that we just mentioned. So between cleansing, vitamin C, and all-in-one anti-aging actives, you're covering like 20 different active ingredients, a lot more than I just mentioned here. But then what ends up happening is your skin gets better and better. And here's the final piece to all of this. If you're gonna use something that you pull together, make sure it's clinically tested and that it shows results. This is something we did for Karam MD. We took it to a third-party lab and got it properly tested, so blinded, make sure that it actually works, and it blew the study out of the water. Within 2 months, skin was, and all those different parameters, started seeing major improvement. This is important because if you're going to commit to something and you're going to, invest in something, you want to make sure that it's effective. However, feel free to drop questions below. I will help guide you in terms of that. But basically, making sure that you're on the right comprehensive regimen, staying with it consistently and continuously, you're going to win this game of skin. And trust me, as a surgeon, whenever I operate on a patient with beautiful skin, their result is like 10 times better than somebody who's had a lot of sun damage, skin aging that's been untreated, etc. And final tip, this is just sort of a common thing you're going to hear from me over and over again, is when you treat your facial skin, make sure you treat your neck skin, because the face and neck basically need to get in the same visual frame, and this is aging just like the faces, and a lot of people make the mistake of not including the neck into it. And when we engineered the trifecta, we made sure that it's safe for the eyes, face, and neck all in one, and that's something that you really want to make sure you have, because otherwise your skin's going to age on its own way faster than your faces, and it's very difficult to catch up. So guys, that was trying to capture all the things that people typically do as far as mistakes that cause skin routine failure. I think with this information, you guys are in good shape. You can move forward and put together the right regimen or look into the trifecta. All right, folks, thanks so much. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, follow along. Like I said, this is the beginning of many, many episodes going forward of skincare education. Thanks so much.